Pre-statistics. Introduction to the TI-83-84. Lesson objectives. Identify the basic layout of the TI-83-84 graphing calculator. Identify some important keys used in this course, and perform some basic commands of the graphing calculator. Lesson objective number 1. Way back in 1996, the TI-83 was introduced. 3 years later, the TI-83 Plus was introduced. The TI-84 Plus came in 2004, and in 2015 the TI-84 Plus CE was introduced. This was the first calculator to have a colored screen. The layout of all of these calculators are essentially the same, so if you know how to use one, you can use any of them. So let's talk about the layout. We'll begin by talking about the 5 graphing keys, the cursor keys or the arrow keys, the scientific keys. These are the same keys that you would see on any scientific calculator, the operation keys, and the sec and the alpha keys. So let's begin. The 5 graphing keys are located right beneath the screen. The y equals button is where you put your equation that you want to graph. Hitting the graph key will graph it on the screen. Window will show the window settings of the graph, and the zoom allows some commands that you can change a window setting quickly. The trace command allows you to trace order pairs on your graph. The cursor keys or the arrow keys are here, and this allows you to move the cursor up or down or left or right. The scientific keys are the keys that you'll see on any scientific calculator. Next are the operation keys: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We also have the enter key, and we can think of the enter key as the equal to sign. So when we type in an expression, we hit enter and the calculator will compute the expression. The second and alpha keys are located here. The second and the alpha key are much like the shift key on a keyboard. Most of the keys on the calculator have 3 functions. For an example, if I look at the math key, in yellow we have test, and in green we have the letter A. If I hit the math key, I get this window. If I hit second in math, I get the test window, and if I hit alpha in math, I'll get the letter A. Lesson objective number 2. We'll begin with the stat key. It's located here. Pressing the stat key, we first see the edit window. Using your right arrow key will take you to the calculate window, and if we press the right arrow key one more time, we go to the test window. Each of these different windows will have commands that we'll use throughout the course. Next is the X key or the input key. It's located here, and we use this key when we need to input a independent variable into an equation. Next is the math key. Once we press the math key, we can see here that we're going to have 4 different screens and a whole list of different commands, and if you ever see a little arrow, that means scroll down and there's more commands in this screen. If we use the right arrow key, we go to number. This is the screen for number. Next would be the complex, and if we use the right arrow key one more, we go to the probability screen. This is where you can find things like factorial and other commands. Next is the Vars key, which is short for variable. It's located here. This key will give you access to where the calculator stores different variables, different values. So again, we have Vars here, and then we have Y Vars. So using the right arrow key, this is what the Y Vars screen looks like. Next is the clear key. So if your screen is full of different computations and you want to clear it out, press the clear key and it clears the screen. This screen is also known as your home screen. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Next is the negative key. This negative key is different than the subtraction key. The negative key changes the sign of the number. So the opposite of 6 is -6. If we take the negative or the opposite of -6, we get a +6. So this sign changes the sign of a number. It does not subtract. If I try to use the subtraction key in place of the negative key, I will get an error. For the subtraction key to work, you have to have two numbers. So the negative key is just changing the sign of the number. The subtraction key needs two numbers to do the operation. This is where the subtraction key is. It is in the operation keys, and they have a different color. So if I type in 3 minus 8, I get back -5. But if I type 3 negative 8 and hit enter, the calculator is going to tell me it's an error. So to change the sign or to make a number negative, we use the negative key. To perform subtraction, we use the subtraction key. Lesson objective number 3. So some basic commands that we'll talk about. We'll be turning the calculator on and off. We'll talk about the home screen and the quick command. We'll talk about the order of operations, and this is going to involve when do we use parentheses, how do we do powers and negative numbers, the division symbol, and the square root. Turn the calculator on. We press the on key. To turn the calculator off, second on is the off key. And the calculator also has a shut off. If no keys are pressed within 3 minutes, the calculator automatically turns off to save batteries. Next is the home screen. The home screen is an area in which all of the basic computations are completed. If you are in a screen and you want to go back to the home screen, you use the quit command. The quit command is second and then mode. So if you get lost in a screen and you want to go back to the home screen, you just hit second and mode. Order of operations. When performing computations, you may need to use the parentheses keys. They're located here. So let's do an example. Say I want to compute what is 12 plus 8 all divided by 4. 12 plus 8 is 20, divided by 4 will be 5. But if we just type in 12 plus 8 divide 4, the calculator is going to give us 14. The reason why is the calculator will compute the order of operation. It will divide before it will perform addition. In this example, we wanted to perform addition first, then division. So if we add parentheses around the numerator, the addition part, we'll get the correct answer of 5. The caret key, which is located here, is used for powers. So here's two different examples. We have 3 squared plus 4 squared, and then we have the quantity 3 plus 4 being raised to the 4th power. So in the first example, the calculator is going to compute powers first, and then add them. And the second example, the calculator is going to do addition first and then the powers. So for the first problem, 3 squared, which is 9, plus 4 squared, which is 16, we get 25. And for the second problem, 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 raised to the 4th power is 2401. When we have powers involving negative numbers, we need to be careful. These two examples will produce different numbers. This example says I want to take the opposite, the negative, of what 7 squared is. So 7 squared is 49, and the opposite of 49 is negative 49. This problem says take negative 7 and square it. So this means negative 7 times negative 7. Negative times negative is positive, so this will be a positive 49. So if you want to take a negative number and square it, you need to include parentheses around your negative number. A negative number squared is always positive. A division sign is a grouping symbol. So for example, if we have this expression, we want to add, then we want to subtract, and then finally divide. But if we type in 8 plus 2 divided by 2 minus 3, we'll get an incorrect answer of 6. Again, the calculator will follow the order of operations to a T. When it looks at this expression, it's going to divide first, then add, then subtract. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, so 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 minus 3 is 6. But for this example, we wanted the numerator to be computed, then the denominator, and then divide. 8 plus 2 is 10. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10. So when in doubt, use parentheses. The square root command requires the use of the second key. So if we look right above the x square, this is the square root key. So we have to press second and x squared to get to the square root key. So we have these two examples, the square root of 4 plus 16, and then we have the square root of 4 plus the square root of 16. So the first one, we want to add these two and then take the square root. And for the second problem, we want to take the square root of 4, take the square root of 16, and then add those two numbers. So hitting second and x squared, we get the square root key. We would type in 4 plus 16, close the parenthesis, and we get the square root of 20, which is approximately 4.47. For the second problem, we type second x squared, type in the 4, close the parenthesis, then hit plus, then again second x squared to get the square root symbol. We type in 16, close the parenthesis, hit enter, and we get 6. Square root of 4 is 2, plus square root of 16 is 4. 2 plus 4 is 6. This is a quick reference to all the different keys that we'll use in this class. Now there is a handout showing all these keys on the Blackboard site. There is also this handout that shows the visual of all the screens for each of the keys. Thanks for watching.